Today we have Karen Farnsworth with us, and we are so grateful to have you back with us, and she's going to show us a super fun project. What are we doing today, Karen?
We're going to make a really cute Halloween table runner.
Awesome. And this could be, maybe you could adapt this for any holiday?
Oh, absolutely. Really easily.
This is really fun. So let's get started.
Okay, we're going to make a table runner, and we've chosen a Halloween theme for our table runner this time. And I'm going to make this one kind of with a quilt as you go technique, but we're going to do it on the long arm. So I've got my backing on and my batting, and I've laid my first piece of fabric. My table runner is going to be black and whites, and we're just going to sew another strip on here. So I have about a 7-inch strip of fabric. I'm going to choose another 7-inch strip of fabric and lay it down right sides together to the first piece. And you could do them straight, or I kind of like to mix things up a little and do some angles. So I'm just going to put this on here at an angle. And then what I'm going to do is stitch down here along this line, and then we'll flip it down and lay our next piece on. So you've probably seen techniques similar to this before. Because I'm going to use the Statler, I'm going to use point to point to select my points, do a point to point line, and I'm going to click a point here about 1/4 of an inch up from this piece of fabric. All the way to the other side, and what I get is a line on the screen. Now, of course, if you're hand guiding, and it might just be just as fast for you to do it, just start and make your line 1/4 of an inch up here. And I can let the Statler quilt that.
That's very nice because you can kind of control your fabric as it's going along.
Yes, you noticed that I don't use a lot of pins or basting. I like to get things done quickly.
Yeah.
So if the Statler is doing the stitching for me, I can use my hands to control the fabric and make sure everything's straight. But of course, it's really easy to do this same technique with your hand-guided machine. Use your rulers or just freehand it. So now we have our first piece laid down there, and we're going to add 3 or 4 more pieces.
I like the wonky design too, not so predictable.
I like it because it's playful, and we're going to add some playful appliques in a Halloween theme here in a minute. So we'll go ahead and we'll add the rest of our strips, and then we'll move on to the applique portion.
Okay.
And at this point, if we wanted to add another quilting design to it, we could. Now we've got some nice long stitching in here, and for a table runner, I think that's plenty of stitching. But there are so many cute patterns out there. If you felt like you wanted to put a background texture on this project, go for it. But we are going to add our applique now. So I've prepared some fabric with fusible on it, because we're going to make raw edge applique. I'm not going to worry about turning any edges, and I don't want to worry about it fraying after I trim the edges and put this on the table. So I've fused to the wrong side of my fabric.
What kind of fusible are you using, Karen?
This fusible is Heat and Bond.
Okay.
It's Heat and Bond Light. And this orange piece is going to be for our pumpkin. So I just need to decide where I want to put it on my project. With the Statler, of course, it's a good idea to maybe make a boundary. So that we know the area that we're working with. Okay, I'm going to go to the computer now, and I'm going to decide what size and where to place my appliques. Okay, here's a rough boundary of my table runner area, and I'm going to decide what kind of designs I want to put on there for applique. I have my orange fabric already, so I think we're going to put a pumpkin on there first. I'm going to choose this pumpkin design, and I'm going to throw it on the screen using repeat patterns. And from there I can resize it, I can move it, I can turn it at an angle. I just kind of decide where I want that to be on the project. Now I know I'm going to add a few more elements to this, so I'm going to throw them on the screen as well so that I can see how everything looks together. I'm going to add a witch hat. Okay, I'm changing the image attributes of the screen so that I can see these patterns really well on there. I'm changing the line thickness so I can see where everything is. Now I know I also want a spider on my project, so I'm using repeat patterns. I'm going to throw that on the screen and place it where I like it. Change the size if I need to. And I just decide how I want everything to fit together. So you can see how easy it would be to use this technique with any kind of a theme and any table runner. Okay, I think that looks good. I want to stitch my pumpkin first. So I'm going to go back over to the machine head and place my fabric. Okay, I have a piece of fabric. I know it's large enough for what I want to do. I'm going to bring my crosshair, my needle down to the center. I'm kind of watching the screen so that I can see that I've put that needle in the center of the area that's going to become my pumpkin, so that I make sure I place that fabric underneath the needle, and then I can use my crosshairs to check and make sure that I've got plenty of fabric above. Looks like I can move the fabric up a little bit, and I'm just kind of following around the outside edge of this to make sure I have plenty of fabric. Now, if you like drawing boundaries, of course you could make a boundary to make sure that your applique is right in the center. But everything looks good to me. Now you can pin the corners if you want. You could use a spray adhesive. I like to just hold it with my fingers until the stitching gets started and let it go. So I am going to go to quilt mode, pull up my bobbin thread, and let the Statler do its job. I love Creative Studio. I just hit quick pause so that I could get my threads out of the way. And Statler's just going to wait for me to be ready. Quick start, and it takes off again.
That's going to add a lot of color onto table runner. Really
Yeah.
cute.
Yep. I like this whimsical, playful kind of look with the bright colors on the black and white fabrics. And that's why we chose not to have our fabrics pieced on exactly straight there. So they're just a little bit playful. So I'm going to trim my thread.
Then you just trim around the edge of that.
I do, yep. I take my applique scissors, trim around the edge. Usually I save all of the trimming until after I've done all of my appliques. So I would add my witch's hat, which I'm going to do in purple, and then a green spider. We got some purple here, nice bright purple.
Nice Halloween colors.
And then we'll do the spider in green, stitch those out, and then we'll be able to trim around the edge and fuse it down once we take it off of the quilting machine.
And then you just do a binding around the edge when you're finished?
Just take
like
it
your
off,
quilt?
trim it around, bind it, and you have a really fun, really easy project that you made almost entirely on
the
your long arm.
That is so cool. Are so festive and so practical, and they can just change up your house in an instant.
Yes, and they're easy to make
And
too.
kids
on our
love them. I mean, it just makes you feel good. So thank you so much, Karen, for showing us this cute project. It's so festive and so practical, and it's one that I actually will do.
Good, good.
So we would definitely invite you to come back because you have so many fun ideas. So
Thank
will you do that?
I would love to, yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
So thank you again for joining us today. See you next time on The Best of Both Worlds.